Aflasafe is, a nature-based, what we call it a nature-based solution for minimizing aflatoxin contamination. So what it is that we know that in nature, we've done lots of research. We know that aflatoxin contamination starts in the field. Contrary to what most people were saying, that it's a post-harvest problem, but it actually starts in the field. And one of the things that we've realized is that when you go to the field, there are different types of fungi belonging to the aspergillus. We have the ones that produce the toxin, which we call aflatoxin, and then we have the ones that do not produce the toxin. So what we have done is gone out there, selected the ones that do not produce the toxin. And through research that we have done, we have realized that actually the ones that do not produce the toxin are more abundant, or they thrive better in the environment. So what we have done is to take these ones, characterize them in the lab to make sure that they don't produce the toxin, or they don't belong to the group that produces the toxin, so that when we put them out in the environment, there is no chance that they are going to mix or exchange genetic material with the toxin producers. So when we put them out in the field, we give them what we call a competitive advantage. So like everything else, these fungi, they have to eat. So we provide a carbon source, and then they start producing. And when that happens, they get into the environment earlier than the toxin producers. When the toxin producers starts to increase in the environment, every niche has been occupied by the non-toxin producers. So basically what it is it's a process that we call competitive exclusion. Like if you're sitting in that chair, I cannot sit in that chair because that chair is already occupied. So when the good guys get in first, the bad guys cannot get in there. And that's how we protect the maize from contamination. So basically, in a nutshell, Aflasafe is a bioprotectant or a biological control process, okay, that utilizes fungi that do not produce toxins to outcompete or to displace the toxin producers. So once the toxin producers have been displaced, you don't get contamination of our produce with the aflatoxin. So that's the technology behind that. Aflatoxin contamination starts in the field.
Yes.
Right? So if you have your maize that is contaminated in the field, and you combine that with good, post-harvest handling, harvest handling, post-harvest storage and whatever, your crop still contains the same amount of aflatoxins it came with from the field, because aflatoxins cannot be destroyed by heat or anything. If you get a crop that is safe from aflatoxin, right, because you've protected it in the field with Aflasafe, that protection goes all the way through the value chain, because already you don't have aflatoxin or the aflatoxin producing fungi associated with your grain. And then we always say management of aflatoxin, look at it from a holistic perspective, an integrated perspective. You protect in the field, then you combine that with good harvesting, and handling, post-harvest handling, storage, and then you keep your crop completely safe from aflatoxin all the way. So the Aflasafe does protect from the field all the way to the plate. Once you have eliminated your aflatoxin in the field with Aflasafe,
yes,
because the product stays with the maize, you don't get any more additional contamination even in storage. But because in the field, we are not protecting every plant. It's like the way we apply Aflasafe, we just broadcast it. we still have a little bit of the toxin producers. So you might get a little bit of some grains that have the fungi that produce aflatoxin. So that might increase if you don't treat it very well. But if you don't handle it very well, or you don't store it very well. But if it's already has the product, it's protected all the way. So we have done lots of experiments on that at different storage conditions. Some really optimum using hermetic storage, and some of them using the jute bags, putting them on the ground on raised beds, and consistently we see that where you've used the Aflasafe, the maize is protected, irrespective of how you store it. Aflatoxin is produced in the grain, so in the soil you won't get it, although the fungus is there. All right. The aflatoxin, you cannot smell it, you cannot taste it, you cannot see it. So the only way is for you to do chemical analysis. So that will tell you whether your maize is safe or it's not safe.
So unfortunately, you can't test until you have the maize.
Until you have the maize.
You can only test
the maize. But one of the things that we know is that the fungus that produces aflatoxin is there in the environment. And we can detect it in the environment. We can actually test and say, yeah, the fungus that produces aflatoxin is in the field. And that's one of the things that we do. We collect soil, we do some microbial analysis, I'll take it to the lab, and then we know, yeah, this one is the fungus that produces it. It is in the soil, we know that. If you go and collect soil there and you culture it, you get aspergillus flavors that produces the toxin in the soil.
Does the farmer need to test?
To test the soil?
Yeah.
No, they don't need to test the soil. But that takes, oh my God, that's a lot of, sort of
science.
Exactly.
And whatever.
Yeah.
So
for the farmer, what we tell them is that, under the climatic conditions and the agrosystems that we have, we know the fungus that produces aflatoxins in the field. What we don't know is the proportion of the good guys and the bad guys.
Yeah.
So when you have more of the good guys, your levels are very low.
Yeah.
When you have more of the bad guys, your aflatoxin levels are very high. 1, 2, also environmental conditions. Because the aspergillus is a fungus that thrives very well when the plant is under stress. So when you have times when you have lots of rainfall and everything is optimum, usually the levels of aflatoxin are very low because the plant is not stressed. Now when you have stressful conditions like drought, high temperatures, usually the levels of aflatoxin are very high. And that is why, with the climate change, we are starting to see a lot more of our commodities being, contaminated with aflatoxin. It's because the stress that is being put on the plant, making it vulnerable to infection by aspergillus. We've done lots of work to see what are the conditions that favor this fungus to grow. And we realize, high temperatures, drought, and it's the same thing, like, me as a person. If I'm malnourished, I become more susceptible to all the diseases. The flu will come and hit me and all those things. So that's the same thing with the plant. But when you are very well taken care of and all those things, and when your immune system is top-notch, a lot of people can get sick, but you won't get sick. So this is basically what it is as well. When you have optimum conditions, you are using the right, varieties, you are using fertilizers, you have enough moisture, the temperatures are optimum for plant growth and all those things. Yes, the fungus is in the soil. We can isolate and know that it is there. But the conditions are not conducive for the fungus to get into the plant and produce aflatoxin. But when the plant now is under stress, it's weak. And then the fungus, we know, it loves, low moisture conditions, high temperatures. So, there's a competitive advantage. And then it gets on the plant, and then you get high levels of aflatoxin. The application is very simple. Because one of the things we realize is that if you have a technology that takes too much time of the farmer, they won't pick it up.
Yeah.
So it has to be simple. So basically this one is you just take your the product, you broadcast it in the field. I'll show you the product, we have it here. You just broadcast it in the field 2 to 3 weeks before flowering, and that's it. And the magic happens. And you need, we are recommending 10 kilograms per hectare, which is like 4 kgs per acre.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then the price that we have where we've been using it, because Aflasafe has been registered, like if I look at East Africa, it's available in Kenya, it's available, commercially available in Tanzania. So we've done lots of work there. And the price that we have is ranges between $1 to $1.50 per kg. Let's say 4,000. 40 is per hectare.
Yeah.
Just once in a cropping season. You apply it 2 to 3 weeks before crop flowers. Because we realize we've done some work, and we realize that when the plant is still young, the levels or the population, the density of aspergillus is very low. But for maize, when the plant starts to flower, to have that rapid stem elongation, to start to tassel, it also it coincides with the increase in the concentration, the population, the densities of the fungus. So one of the things that we are thinking is that maybe there's something that is being produced by the plant when it starts to do elongate, that now stimulates the fungus to start producing more of itself. So we think there are some exudates that are being produced in the roots, which now the fungus now has a food source and starts to multiply and produce. So when we put the Aflasafe, because we put it on a sorghum that we have sterilized, heat killed, the fungus already has a food source. So by the time these bad guys starts to get a food source to multiply, the ones that we've produced, we've already given them a competitive advantage because they have the food and they produce. Then they displace the bad guys and then you protect. And when you time your application, we do it very well according to the protocol. You get 100% elimination of aflatoxin. There will be no contamination at all. Most of the time, if you are using improved seed, on the bag that comes with the seed, they will tell you, the information is written, because there are differences depending on the variety. So the information is written there when it will flower, after how many days after planting. So you need to follow those instructions on when it is. That's one. Two, as a maize farmer, when you start to see, maize is gross. When you start to see that rapid stem elongation, that's the time to apply. Because it just happens, you go to the field and start to see the maize is here. And then it starts to go within like a week or two, the plant is going up and then it starts to form the tassel. That's the time to apply. The product that we have, it's living. So it needs moisture for it to start sporulating and then to produce the spores and displace this one. So we do the quality control, quality checks in the lab. Just a little bit of dew, that's enough to stimulate the fungus to grow. So as long as you get dew, that happens. So you might get times where it's completely dry and you can't even get the dew. So we are doing some experiment to see what happens if I add a little bit of moisture before applying. Because that's all you need, just a little bit. And then that works. So the one only, when it rains, usually when you apply, at times you get this, the sorghum grains on the leaves stick to this and stuff. Usually we don't get that much effect because of the rain. Yeah. IITA started in 1992. IITA has a huge portfolio. When we started, we were actually focusing on maize and cassava breeding. So we helped Naro with the bringing in the resistant materials to the cassava mosaic virus, the cassava brown streak virus. We've been working with the Naro to improve the matoke. They have some that they've released, which came from the collaboration that we've been working with together with the Naro. Right now, we have programs that are looking at climate smart agriculture. what are the technologies that we have, how can we push these technologies forward. We have developed some digital apps or digitalizing of agriculture. Like we have the Stepwise app, which is being used in coffee, can be used in maize. And basically what it is like looking at the climate smart agricultural packages. And then we realize that when you go out to the farmers are not a homogeneous group. It is a heterogeneous group. You get some farmers who are well off, some are not well off in the community. You get some farmers who are well educated, some are not well educated. And then their means, what they can pick is different. So with the Stepwise app, it's like we go there, we do a farmer typology segmentation, and then we say this group of farmers, I think at this stage they are ready to take up these innovations. This group of farmers takes up these innovations, and then we've realized that when you segment them and you put them according to their capabilities, the rate of uptake of technologies increases. So we developed an app that helps us to do that. There's another one for the coffee, what they call the Shade Tree app. We have another one that we call the seed tracker, which is basically tracing your seed, like for the cassava. Who is producing the seed, linking them up to who needs the seed, linking them up to the government that certifies that this is clean seed. So all those things you can get in. If I'm here and I want to buy cassava cuttings, I just get in there to tell me, oh, Arthur is a cassava, is a certified producer of this variety. And then I can go and contact you, and then we get in. So this way you don't have to be looking and calling somebody, where can I get this? You just get in the app. It gives you everything, which variety.